Okay.
What I would like to say is that on a lighter note today, the one thing I was able to slightly distract myself with was the fact that Lewis Hamilton won the Formula One in guess which country? Horace. Guess.
Can't be Australia. I don't think there's embargo on right now, so there's no Grand Prix.
Incorrect, my friend. Guess again. Islamic.
United. Oh, Qatar.
No, guess again. That was the
Oman.
previous one. No, one more guess. I lived there. How about
Oh, Abu Dhabi.
that?
UAE. Somewhere in
No.
UAE. Somewhere in
No.
UAE.
Back in the
Dubai.
day.
Dubai. Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
All right.
The Formula One was held in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Lewis Hamilton won and I'm not sure if you guys know, but basically he has been saying that he's like not entirely, not only is he fit, but he's a very, very cool activist because he knows that what he's saying is basically that it was not his choice to ever compete in Saudi Arabia, and the laws against the LGBTQ plus community there are pretty terrifying, and he does not feel entirely safe. Obviously, today, just before the stream, actually, like an hour or two before the stream, he won. And I was just listening to his winning speech, and he obviously said like the crowd is great and the people have been great and blah blah blah. But I just want to take a minute to actually just pay respect to this man, because when Formula One decided to go to Saudi Arabia, the only way that Formula One could go to Saudi Arabia ever, as in Saudi Arabia to be a host nation for them, was if Saudi women were able to drive, and that only happened in 2018. And now, when obviously, like even in our other streams, Harris, we've talked about instances where it's a complete sports wash that's happening, right? With like MBS, and they own Newcastle football team now and things like this. And this is just, if you were to see the theatrics, by the way, of this Formula One, if you saw the fireworks in the sky and what they've done to like Jeddah as a city, and the women within the confines of it are just like, I mean, they're like we'd see in any other sports game. They're just wearing their normal clothes and no hijab, nothing. It was really interesting because when Lewis Hamilton won, usually he pops champagne and like the bubbles go everywhere.
No, he did
And
pop champagne. I
yeah,
was
so
gonna
he
ask you
popped
that.
a bottle, and I literally was trying to zoom in my TV. I was like, is that sparkling date juice? Like, what is that? Is that champagne? Is that why he's walking off with it so quickly? Because he did it so modestly. Yeah, he like literally like squirted a few bubbles and then like put it
Make sure
down.
nobody
Yeah,
notices. He
yeah,
didn't. He didn't go
yeah.
like. I
And I
remember.
was,
I remember with popping champagne very quickly when
yeah,
England won the World Cup. When England won the
yeah.
World Cup, you know, like how they at the end in the ceremony, they were popping champagne open, and then it was so funny and it may be cute as well. Adil Rashid and Moin Ali, as soon as it started opening and it started spraying everywhere, they both ran away. They're like, no, we don't want to, which is fair enough. But that was
Yeah,
cute. They
so
didn't.
cute.
The good thing was they were not like, oh, you know, you can't do that. We're Muslims, yeah. So that's how it should be.
Yeah, no, it definitely should be like that. So I was just wondering, because whenever I lived in Saudi and like we were trying to celebrate anything, we'd go to like the Saudi supermarket and buy like we'd go to their
Zamzam
equivalent
water.
of an alcohol section, and which was just like the most beautiful bottles, yeah. And you were like, oh my gosh, this looks like Dom Perignon or like Moet or some shit, but it's actually
Shandong.
like sparkling date juice, and you're like, yes, get me some of that. And you like have this with your family or whatever. So I honestly didn't know what Lewis Hamilton would be popping tonight. Either way, I was like, if it's not Moet, like he's just going to obviously leave it on stage, but he carried it with him. So it might have been, who knows. Anyway, the point of the story is that basically mad respect to sportsmen like Lewis Hamilton and so many others, because he was actually brave enough to call out Saudi Arabia. And I understand the reasoning behind him calling them out is that if Formula One as a sport is ready to go to a country like Saudi Arabia, they also inevitably, as part of that, need to be aware of certain things, which are just basic things like women should have the right to drive, which is why this is the first time the Formula One has been hosted in Saudi Arabia, because this is kind of like a new development. And the reason I really wanted to highlight this is because somebody like Lewis Hamilton, who has a lot of, he has a massive public following. He's a public figure. He's a very well-known sportsman. He has the platform to enable conversations and discussions and change. And where he is saying that Saudi Arabia's laws against the LGBTQ plus community and how homophobic they can be, it is pretty terrifying. And the fact that he is like kept on the same helmet, he wore a helmet basically that had like the LGBTQ plus representation. He wore it in Qatar as well. And he didn't decide not to wear that in Saudi. So he's really, really trying to prove a point here. And he's really trying to shed light on an issue, and clearly saying, even like days before he was going to Saudi, that he doesn't feel comfortable in the competition being held there. And we've talked about sports washing in the past, but I just do think, honestly, I've been reading a lot of articles and really kind of looking into why Lewis Hamilton is choosing to speak up for these matters. And I do think that the benefit here in this case outweighs the cost. Like, yes, there is an element of sports washing at play for sure. I have to agree with the human rights organizations. But at the same time, the fact that you have an institution like the Formula One coming into a country like Saudi Arabia means that you need to have certain protocols in place. If those protocols include things like women driving and therefore enabling women and giving them power, that is only for the greater good. And when sports and massive events like this turn like the spotlight onto Saudi Arabia, they need to like make these changes. And we've been talking about MBS's reforms for a while now, and it's like, will they, won't they kind of situation, and is it a long-term thing? But this genuinely, Saudi Arabia allowing this to happen and kind of bending the rules, and Lewis Hamilton is in a position where the Saudi authorities can't shut him down. So if it's cool, can I just share an article with you real quick?
Yes, go ahead. Champagne. So that's good.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
That's good with Saudi Arabia if they did it. But here, it says this article was written on 29th of October. Champagne not welcome in Qatar. Criticism is we respect other people's culture. So on November 21st, Formula One will come to Qatar. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the organization of supporting events in the country with human rights not appearing to be particularly high on the list. However, according to the organizers of the race, the drivers are free to express their opinions on controversial issues such as human rights. So Qatar is not budging.
So it was definitely sparkling grape juice.
Possibly.
It was most likely that, yeah. Okay, but yeah, so just literally on that note, I'll share this with you guys. So Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, a race for equal rights. There's so much love about Formula One. In fact, there's so much drama. F1 was actually made into a Netflix series. This weekend's race in Saudi Arabia has stirred different emotions. I went absolutely nuclear. Motorsport journalist Hazel Southwell tells Radio 1 Newsbeat, F1 is racing in Saudi Arabia for the first time a week after making its debut in Qatar, and many have pointed out both countries have faced criticism for their records on human rights, especially towards women. Saudi Arabia is among the world's major executioners. It put to death at least 40 people between January and July, according to Amnesty International. But Hazel is amongst those who think racing in Saudi might actually come with some positives. It was a difficult thing to process. It brought up a lot of conflicting thoughts in my mind. Richard Morris, the UK's most prominent openly gay racing driver, tells Newsbeat. So driving for change in Saudi, being LGBTQ plus, is punishable with floggings and prison. We need to accept the reality of the situation. Richard, who competes in the Britcar Endurance Championship, adds Formula One is inevitably going to visit territories that are on the whole spectrum of levels of acceptance and prosecution for LGBTQ plus people. Richard thinks having the F1 world arrive in Saudi might send a positive message when it comes to visibility and values. Already there are examples that suggest he might be right. Take Sebastian Vettel, for example. The Aston Martin driver describes himself as an ally, which in this case means a straight person who supports the rights of LGBT people, as I'm guessing, Haris, you and I both also are, sending a message At this year's Hungarian Grand Prix, Seb and current world champion Lewis Hamilton, criticized Hungary's decision to hold a referendum on a law which includes a ban on the depiction of or promotion of homosexuality and gender change to under 18s. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think that's a different discussion. But anyway, Lewis himself raced to victory in Qatar with a pride flag on his helmet. This I applaud 100. He'll be doing the same again this weekend, admitting he doesn't feel comfortable racing in Saudi, describing life for LGBT people there as pretty terrifying. Guys, check out this helmet. It's so solid, like
LGBTQ.
such a sick helmet. Yeah. Of course. Anyway, so this is just more about this. So this motorsport journalist, Hazel Southwell, she basically, her reaction was absolute blind fury because in 2018, women in Saudi still couldn't drive and were not allowed to attend any sporting events. But Hazel, who's gay herself, started going there for work, and that's when her views began to change. I was 32 when I first went to an event in the country. I didn't realize, but that is over the average age of a Saudi Arabian person living there. Like Pakistan, their population is very, very, very young. Although Saudi is one of the richest nations in the region, thanks to its vast oil resources, millions of people still live in poverty. That's true. A lot of people do live a really horrible lifestyle in Saudi. I can attest to that. Saudi is also very secretive. There are 34 million people who live in Saudi. We don't know very much about them, says Hazel, adding that the quality of life can be very poor. She believes bringing large international sporting events to the country can help improve human rights and increase grassroots sports opportunities. To hold a Formula One, FIA Motorsports World Governing Body, okay, that's the sanctioning body of the Formula One, sanctioned race, Saudi Arabia had to let women drive, Hazel says. Rima Jafali has since become Saudi Arabia's first female professional racing driver. Oh, by the way, I went to school with Rima Jafali. I was like captain of the football team and she played football with us. We went to like Dammam and yeah, she's like an amazing, amazing, amazing woman. And I'm not surprised that she's become the first female professional racing driver. She was sick at football as well. I remember when we played, like, she's honestly awesome. So yeah, mad respect to Rima Jafali. I have so much to say to her. Anyway, with the doors completely closed on Saudi Arabia, nothing has improved for 40 years. There is, to an extent, more reform happening because the world's eyes are on it. So yeah, I mean, in general, like, I totally agree with you in the sense that these countries are now gonna, like, they have to move with the times or else you're doomed. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's as simple as that now. Horace, how many more streams do we need to have before we like catch up with the 21st century or you are doomed? Like, this is Saudi Arabia. This is MBS. I have watched documentary after documentary about his reforms, his ability to reform the country, blah, blah, blah. Pakistan, I don't know what they are doing, trying to hold on as
Pakistan is going in the opposite direction. Saudi Arabia is going in the right direction.
Exactly.
Pakistan is going in the opposite direction. But Saudi Arabia, again, I don't have much hopes for it because it's still a kingdom. Meaning, whenever the royal family goes, we might be back to square one. Democracies take longer to evolve, but that is the most stable way of doing it. Because when people die, leaders die, there's the new leader replaces them. There's a process. Organizations and departments actually evolve with them. But now, like, okay, MBS, if he's trying to modernize Saudi Arabia, good. Because we saw that with Musharraf as well. He tried to modernize Pakistan, took some really good steps. He was a military man. He took action against these militant mullahs, the clergy. As soon as he went, back to square one. So same things could happen there.
The slow erosion in Saudi Arabia of the power of the ulema, like I don't know how you say that word in English, like the religious elite, I guess, would be the word.
Clergy.
And the clergy. And for example, this kind like for me, I'm baffled, even as an ex-Muslim, what they're doing in Saudi Arabia. When I used to go there and do Umrah on the weekends, which is like the mini Hajj, I swear, like, there was nothing on the outskirts of the Masjid al-Haram, like the actual like mosque which encompasses the Kaaba. And now, like, all I've seen since I've left is like the Rolex Tower being built, the the cave that I went to. So as a Muslim, if you go and you do like Umrah or whatever, the mini Hajj in the sacred month of Ramadan, you're given like extra reward. So it's considered like a very blessed thing to get extra reward during the sacred month. So when I would go and do that, obviously I'd feel super privileged, but I went and did it's called like ziyara in Arabic. It's called ziyarte in Urdu. It's like, what is it, Har? It's like
Migration.
historically visiting the Prophet.
Pilgrimage.
Ziyarte is like, yeah, I guess like visiting all the Islamic
holy sites or whatever.
The holy sites, yeah.
It's a pilgrimage, yeah.
Yeah. So they basically like showed us or they took us to what they said was like Mount Hira, like the cave of Hira, where the Prophet went to like meditate, and where the angel Gabriel first spoke to him. And also where I was so gassed about this when I was a Muslim, I was like, this is the cave where like the spider built a spider web, and the kafir didn't realize
when Muhammad was running away
because the spider web was untouched. What?
When Muhammad was running away in the middle of the night.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, even as a Muslim, I don't even know he's running away, right? I just thought he's in a cave meditating.
No, he was running away. He hid in a cave, and then a spider, the kuffar came to look out for him. But when they saw a spider web, they go, okay, so obviously there's a spider web here, so meaning no one has come here.
But do you know, honestly, legit, Horace, I know we're live right now, but I just got to say this to you because I swear, like, when I go into my bedroom, yeah, and if I leave the window a little bit open for one night, a spider has built an entire freaking silken nice ass web. I'm telling you, I'm like, I'm disgusted, but I admire it. I'm like, great work. That's insanely intricate. Like, wow, what a design. In 6 hours while I've been asleep.
Yeah.
So what do you mean you're gonna literally not look inside this cave because there's a spider? And that's a story that is also like pickpocketed from a prior time in history and just added to the Quran. Obviously, you realize that as you go on with like the whole sleeper cave myth, all of these things, the whole
stories.
The eye for an eye, the code of Hammurabi. This goes way beyond the Quran. If you like these videos and want to support me in my activism, then you can support me on Patreon or PayPal. Stay free, everyone.